All right. I believe we're live. I could just pull up my phone and look. Someone in the comment, let us know if we're live. Sure, I'm going to assume so. Hello there, and welcome to the SWTVC Summer Block Party 2023 live stream right here on YouTube, the live stream home of the at SWTVC crew and the ongoing push for the continued existence, expansion, and success of the heritage scale of Star Wars collecting. That never gets easier to say. I'm just going to do it again. Anyway, my name is Evan, or as you might know me, at Mile High Ground, and I am joined in the Friend Simulator today by my SWTVC crew and some wonderful titans of TVC from the community. So I think if you're watching this, most of the people here, all of the people here, probably don't need an introduction. However, we're going to do it anyway because that's the polite thing to do. So let's go around the circle here, and let's start with Tim. Who are you? Why am I talking to you? And what do you do?
You know it. You know, they know. I don't need to say anything. I'm Tim. Let's just talk some action figures, shall we?
Perfect.
On to the next person.
Lewis.
Oh dear, what do I do? Not a lot lately, I'll be honest. I've been pretty barren on social media, but no, I mean, obviously behind the scenes, SWTVC and at Space Hut on Instagram and Threads now, apparently.
Ooh, yeah. Where's our Threads gang at? Drop it in the comment if you're over on Threads. Comments. I keep saying comments, singular. I'll figure this out eventually. All right, let's keep going around. John Miko.
Hey, what's up, everyone? John Miko, Star Wars, The Vintage Collection Facebook group. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And other John.
Yeah, we're right next to each other this time. Thank God. I'm at The Vintage Concepts on Instagram, also part of the SWTVC crew. Yeah, my beard's not as nice. I should have shaved, but it's all right.
Just showing my mustache.
Yeah. There you go.
Sweet. Victoria, how you doing?
I am doing well. Why am I here? I have no idea. Thank you guys for having me so much. I'm just a girl that loves Star Wars and Star Wars toys, so thank you.
Perfect. That's why we're here. And lastly, Tyler, the man with the microphone issues.
Well, I hope you have some idea of why you're here, Victoria, because Evan was supposed to send all of our guests the outline, but
and I did, I think.
He did.
Very good. We're here to talk some TVC, guys. I'm excited. So let's get going.
Cool. Well, real quick, just to kind of to gab a little bit at the top of the show. It is summer, obviously. How's everybody's summer been? Chime in if you'd like. Let's all talk over each other. Everybody loves when 7 people start jabbering, so it's good. I'll just start here. It's been rainy in Wyoming, which is a nightmare. Not hot though, which is great. I hear that a couple of the folks here don't have air conditioner. That's not a normal thing for them. I don't get it. Boo. Earlier, before we actually started live, Tim, you said that you don't have AC, and John Miko, your first response was, "Oh, dude, you got to protect those card backs." Like that was the first thought. That was the first thought. All right.
Air conditioning in the UK is just not a common thing.
No.
You know.
Yeah.
But that's
Open a window.
That's just the way it is.
You do.
Yeah, open a window.
Europe in
Get a
general.
fan. Get a fan to blow warm air at you. It's nice.
Even in SoCal, very few people have air conditioning because we just don't really need it.
Wow.
I was just concerned for those blisters on those card backs and this supposed yellowing, or I don't know if it's sunlight that does that, but I would imagine heat is just not good for plastic in general. So that's all.
Especially probably whatever the glue is that they use for the bubbles.
Yeah,
that seems to get
that's the
worse
one.
every day.
Bubbles falling off cards. Not
Sorbic
good.
acid is what it is.
See, that's why you're here, Victoria. You know things.
Yes. Science.
All right. Well, I know there's actually a bunch of things that have kind of arrived lately. Kind of talk about mail calls usually when we get started on the podcast, on the live streams. Has anything interesting shown up on your doorsteps? I know the 212th Clone Trooper set has started showing up lately. A couple versions of that. I'm sure folks are well aware. Browline version and the original as advertised, no Browline version. Yeah, I guess I'll hold that up as well. Yay, toys. But yeah, anybody gotten anything else interesting lately? It could be something new, could be something old, maybe say from a cartoon that aired about 10 years ago. Yeah, I don't know. Tim, you got anything lately?
Just the things of the 212th and the latest wave, which was the Moff Jajerod. And have you got that wave yet? I think some
no.
of you have, haven't you, in the States?
No.
No, with Cad Bane and
I think-
all that?
Yeah, the
I
Cad
think
Bane.
Cad Bane,
No.
Cad Bane shipped from Entertainment Earth singles a
Yeah,
little bit.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I thought some of them did. Yeah, Cad Bane shipped, yeah.
Folks are
Yeah, so
starting to
that's
see
it
that
really
wave.
for me. That's what I've got recently. All
right.
good.
And then I assume Tim and Lewis, you both probably have those Walmart ARC Troopers, the second of which is supposed to start shipping to us in the US this week. We'll see. I imagine you guys have had all three since they were announced 2 years ago, likely. I don't know. But do you have all three already?
Yeah, we got them, what, about a month ago, I think, probably. It was a bit weird because if I'm right in saying, when we pre-ordered, we ordered Colt and then Blitz. Is that right? But Blitz actually turned up first, I think. I'm right in saying.
Mine
confused me.
arrived at the same time, those two.
Right. I had about a week
pretty
between
much,
mine.
Pretty much same time. Havoc was like maybe 3 weeks before that, I think. He's been
Okay.
around a while.
When did we all pre-order those? Was that?
I'm looking
I
now.
don't
The Havoc was pre-ordered October 6th, delivered for me on March 31st. Who's the next guy? Colt was pre-ordered November 9th, arrives supposedly next Wednesday. And then Blitz, the yellow one, was pre-ordered December 14th and arrives by October 11th, which seems insane.
10 months for a repaint. Okay.
Well, and Walmart's interesting because they always seem to ship right on time. Like there's no movement until the last second, and then everybody generally gets them
Panics.
right when they said they would. Yeah. But every other country on the planet has had them for years at this point, which is strange.
That's what I don't understand. So supposedly, because of Walmart and Target, everyone has all of these figures, but nobody in the US has them. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So
It's
Yeah,
strange.
I'm curious how that partnership works out where because it's been told to us that the retail partnerships are part of what makes it possible to have these
Right.
figures, but
Right.
then they're the absolute dead last to get them.
you're right. Target and Walmart are funding these supposedly, and everyone has them for this reason. But every other outlet gets them overseas and ships them to everyone before. It's just frustrating.
Do you guys have the other all three Boba Fett's from
those
Target or
two.
not?
Nope.
Yeah.
Do you think that they've got? Do you think
I mean,
that they've got them and they're just holding them, and there's like a shelf date for them or whatever that they've planned, or and obviously over here we're not. You know, we don't have that because we don't have a Walmart or a Target. So
Maybe.
it's just a
I mean,
case
would
of when
they-
they ship,
Good point.
you know.
Would
You know,
they
has
spend the money
Jason,
to
for
store them?
example, said that they've arrived in the because he always says that shipping data, doesn't he?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
this, that, and the other has arrived because.
And then it's usually
Yeah.
a couple months afterwards that they show
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's what I mean. Is there like a period where they sort of just
Sit there.
intentionally hold on to it and just
Yeah.
sit on it for a while? You know.
I don't know. That's a weird one. John, what were you saying?
But just that, like, would they pay for storage for all those months, or like, I don't know why. I don't understand it. Because the Kinner Colors one, we found it in store a few months ago, and there's still no date.
Yeah, it's
Walmart
still
gives
a
a date, even
pre-order.
if it's 6 months after they got it in England. But yeah, Target doesn't give dates. Usually it clearances the stuff before it even hits. There's an Indiana Jones figure, and the Black Series Gamorrean Guard are now in clearance at most stores. They're still on pre-order on the website. And then the Boba Fett has kind of come and gone in stores, and still no sign of it shipping from the website. So, like, what's going on there? That's something that definitely needs to get sorted out.
I think I saw last night while I was doom scrolling, like 3 a.m. Someone in Canada found the Kenner, one of the comic book art Boba Fett's somewhere. I don't know.
Could be.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I guess I'm not too bummed that I'm yet to be charged $21 for a Boba Fett repaint number 4. So it's okay.
I think too. I mean, it happened with the Dark Trooper, right? That
Yeah.
you know, everyone waited. Did people actually finally get them from Target in the mail?
I canceled my original Target pre-orders, but I bought several when they went on, because they went on sale like 3 times before they actually hit shelves.
Yeah.
And so one of the times they went on sale for like $17.49 each, I bought a bunch and they shipped out. But so I'm not sure about the original pre-orders though.
Tyler, did you get them?
No, none of. Well, I didn't have any on order from Target actually.
We know you
I
have
got
a
all of
pallet
mine
full at your house.
Yes, they're up there right now.
He ships them straight from the supplier, didn't they? Straight out the factory, I think.
Yeah, they know just to literally fast track them straight to my house. So
Yeah, you just hit up Moff Gideon and specifically. And
what's up, dude? Send me some Dark Troopers, man.
Quick question too for Victoria. That's happened with the Jurassic Park line as well, right? Like they were showing up on shelves before anyone was getting their pre-orders, online pre-orders.
Yes. Yeah. Months before.
Did that happen with the anniversary ones, right? The kind of retro ones.
And the Hammond collection. It's been like a regular Target thing lately. It's really weird.
Yeah. So that's definitely going to be a question of ours when we head to San Diego Comic-Con and talk to Hasbro.
Yeah. Why is Target the worst?
I thought Walmart was the worst.
Well,
They go back and forth, yeah.
They do. They like to jockey for that position, but yeah.
But
speaking of Jurassic, real quick, Victoria, we know that there is a HasLab coming soon to Star Wars 3 3/4 inch collectors, likely. Mattel, I almost said Hasbro. Mattel is trying a crowdfund for a 3 3/4 inch Jurassic item, and that has landed like a wet fart. I don't know. As you're our resident Jurassic expert here, do you have any thoughts or insight on that? I've been kind of watching it from afar, seeing what's happening. So it's definitely not going to succeed by any metric.
No, it's been a really frustrating campaign. They haven't really promoted it. Universal, which is like Jurassic's Disney, right? Hasn't like promoted it on any level. Like they haven't posted it on their website. They haven't put any advertisements out. Mattel has done some ads like on social media, but very small. Yeah. But the whole campaign is just like, it was like dead on arrival, honestly. And it's not because of like how they've treated it even. I would just say like just the campaign with all the stretch goals and the tiers, like 50% of the value shouldn't be in the stretch goals. It should, like, the main thing should be the item, right? The gates and the explorer. And then everything else should be just kind of not like front loaded. It should be made clear, like, as things go. Yeah, there will be tiers. They're going to be add-ons to what you're getting, but it's not going to upstage what you're getting here when you pay $250. I know we always say that HasLabs should always be dream items that are just not possible any other way. When it comes to this Mattel Creations project, no one has been asking for the gate as being like that item. There have been people asking for gates. I've been wanting gates. I've been wanting fences and all that, but
it's got electronics too, correct?
It does. I don't need a $250 gate with another Explorer, which I already have.
It's not a new Explorer either, correct?
It's a retooled Explorer, so it does have a lot of like bells and whistles and upgrades on it.
Okay.
Rubber
no electronics. Yeah. So it's nice. It would be nice to have, but I would be content with just, and most people that I've talked to would be happy with just a gate that has, the fences. It doesn't need the electronics. Doesn't need to be that big. It can be a little bit smaller. And then, use that campaign for what people are asking for. In this case with Jurassic, everybody wants like that classic Jurassic Park Command Compound Visitor Center playset, just like Kenner did. That's like the thing that has not been realized, along with the gates and the fences in the modern Jurassic toy line. So, I would have done it differently if it was going to be the gates and the fences, bring the price down and make the stretch goals a little bit less, grand. Because, everybody wants that bull T-Rex. That's one of the stretch goals. But it's like, well, it's really up there. And the other thing that just like really gets to me is Mattel does this all the time. Mattel is really behind when it comes to engineering. They're really behind when it comes to modernizing their techniques for doing paint applications, for doing sculpting, articulation, all of it. And that's why they lost the DC line to McFarlane and Spin Master. That's why they lost Disney Princesses for a while. It's kind of frustrating to see. And then also another Mattel thing that they do is they'll take, women action figures and they'll make it really hard to get them. Like, they won't offer them right away, or they'll make them towards the end of the line. Like the Lex figure, which we already have a Lex figure, which is fine. But to get that one, that's like the last final stretch goal. So it's just kind of, and to get her, you get her with the goat. So it's like, okay, she's like the ultimate stretch goal. It's just weird.
Isn't that figure reuse of the legacy version, so the more simple line with just a new head? So there's
Both
nothing that's
Tim and
100%
Lex
other
are,
than the gates. There's nothing that's
Right.
100% all new in this crowdfund.
That's not how
Right.
you do these projects at all.
I was just about to ask Victoria actually, because I haven't been following this at all. So the T-Rex is a stretch goal. You don't get that with the base offering.
Right.
So
You
It's
get
also
Jurassic-
not, it doesn't
Jurassic-
interact with
Jurassic
the base
Park-
offering either
A
in the
Jurassic
films.
Park item, which is all about dinosaurs. You don't get a dinosaur in the base offering. You have to hit some stretch goal to get that, right?
exactly.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Is the dinosaur been issued before as well?
It has been. This is a retool. It has a new head and it has new paint on it. So
Wow.
So I mean, the concept is cool, but again, the whole thing is just a mess. And at first they didn't allow it. They didn't open it to international buyers. So, there was a lot of people upset at the very beginning. And then they said, okay, now it is open to international. And then very few people jumped on board at that point either. So it's not going to happen. It's just one of those things of not really paying attention to what other similar things happening in the market are doing, like with HasLab.
Yeah.
And it's just, ignoring the customer base. It's just a lack of forethought in what, this sort of a project really should be. So on all sides, it's just really unfortunate because there are some cool things in this set that would be nice to have, but hopefully it doesn't have long-term ramifications for other Jurassic stuff, but who knows?
So its base backing target is 5,000. It's setting at about 1,255 backers right now, which is 25% funded. I was keeping track of it every once in a while. It's averaging like 20 to 40 people a day. A couple days it was almost going backwards. It ends in 17 days. But to unlock everything, all of the retooled stuff, they need 10,000 backers. So
yeah,
you could
And
see it go like
there's
the Raincore, can't you? Where if it doesn't hit
Yeah.
those tiers, people will just start pulling out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because people
Once
don't want it.
if it's sitting at 4,500 with like a day to go, people are going to go, well, this is never going to get to that 10.
250 for this.
Only in it because of the for what comes with the 10. So I'm just going to fall out now.
Yeah.
It has 2 days left to get the early bird special, whatever, to get those little paddock signs. And so again, that's something that won't happen if people don't back it in 2 days, which is probably not going to happen.
Just kill it totally.
Yeah.
and it will
I
be
have
on
a feeling it'll
display
be
at
Cookie Monster.
SDCC. So.
They were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think whether or not they should.
Mattel Creations doesn't find a
You've
way.
been waiting for that, John, haven't you?
I've been sitting
How long have
patiently.
you had
yes.
that one planned exactly?
I don't think Mattel quite understands how this is supposed to work. And, this is, to me, just an example of all those people who say, oh, Hasbro should lose the license and some other toy company should take over the Star Wars lines. Maybe Mattel, blah, blah. It's like, have you seen Mattel's quality compared to Hasbro's quality? Do you think you're going to get figures like this? Or like, Admiral Piet? This kind of quality from Mattel? Maybe in 10 or 15 years? But not now.
I did think of you the other day, Tyler, when I saw a comment on the Mattel Creations thing that someone who had commented, "Oh, I usually have been a big proponent of Hasbro losing the license and Mattel getting it, but now I think I may have been wrong." And it was like,
I saw that exact comment.
yeah. So anyway, well, speaking of crowdfunding and jumping to why we're all here, Star Wars. Yes, TVC is getting HasLab soon at San Diego Comic-Con is where they are revealing it. And that is Friday, the 21st, correct?
At 2 p.m. Pacific time is when the panel starts.
Okay.
So it'll probably be at the end of that panel, is my guess.
Okay. And Miko, did you say you were going to be there?
Yes, I am attending it this year, first time. Very excited. My family and I are going to go the week before and enjoy a little vacation, and then I'm going to ship them off back home, and I'm going to stay back, hang back. I'm going to be there with Augustine and his good buddy Ariel, and
Nice.
hope to see Victoria. So I know we're going to be attending a little brand panel, a little breakfast brand panel, which will be nice on Thursday morning. I'm sure
Awesome.
you guys might have seen that invite too, but definitely going to take them up on that. So we'll be immersed in some different Hasbro panels, so to speak.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, I guess, you know what? Let me pull. Well, actually, no, we'll get to that. When was the last HasLab? Our last HasLab was the Razor Crest, which was 2020, and that shipped beginning of 2022. Yes?
Yes. Let me pull up on my HasLab notes because I knew they would come up. So
Yeah, it's two or 3 months late, wasn't it? It was supposed to be
End of 2021.
November, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think it showed up in February of 2022 is when I got mine. And which was actually around the same time in 2022 was actually the same. I got the Crest around the same time that they announced and revealed and put up for pre-order the Boba Fett's Throne Room, $230, which is set to ship around the same time, if all goes according to tradition, plans, whatever, when the HasLab backing window would likely close and also charge. So, Tyler, what do you have to say to folks?
If you're not saving, you're wrong. I cannot emphasize it enough. Save.
Yeah,
worst case scenario, if you don't want the HasLab, you'll have a bunch of extra money saved up to go buy something you do want. So there's no downside to saving.
Yeah.
Save,
Unless you're like
save,
not
save,
eating right
yes.
now, in which case, like, the sacrifices we make to
Downside,
collect, but also
Ramen noodles 3 times a day until September.
that sounds like scurvy, but okay, gotcha. So there's no definite thing. We don't know what it is, but there's been some hints from Hasbro lately, kind of pointing us in the right direction. The common speculation is that it's probably the vehicle from Rebels, or that may be showing up soon. So
The most concrete thing, if we can just say it, because those Hasbro Pulse posts, the blue things with the Arabesh text, which can mean a number of things, but it is literally based off of the view screen from the Ghost. So if that's not the strongest possible hint, then I don't know what else you really need.
Somebody also asked in the comments if they think that we will see a physical prototype, and I believe in one of the Orabesh translations it said something like model ready to go or something like that. I'd have to look
prototype
again.
ready or something like that.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
prototype ready. So I would
because
expect
that
that.
or the Rancor.
I would hope that they would have it on display at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
One thing I don't really want to see, I don't know if they'll do it, is sometimes they do that gray model before they show the painted version, which I think maybe they did that for the barge and the crest, right?
Yeah, they did it for all
And there
of
was
them.
so many people commenting, what, we don't get it painted?
We have to paint it ourselves.
Where's the paint? Yeah, it's like, really? Come on.
And then wait, one of the comments in the chat, Kurt K, I don't know if you can expand that, Evan, or highlight that or whatever, but it's, can you use a PayPal credit card on the HasLab? You can use a credit card. You can use any kind of regular credit card and then pay it off yourself. People are always asking about a payment plan. Yes, they're called credit cards. You pay up front and then you pay it off as you can. So that's, if you need to do that, or you can front load it now and start saving now. So yeah, do it. But Hasbro is not going to offer a chunk here and a chunk there payment plan type situation.
They want your money now.
So, yeah.
Sorry,
Yes.
I got lost in the comments. I'm getting a little confused.
And just
It
to
is bad
reiterate-
timing, though, isn't it? It is bad timing. With
It's
that,
incredibly poor timing.
because obviously that throne room set we've pre-ordered for ages, but it's you have to pay when it ships.
The throne room set, which is a big ticket
HasLab's often
item.
like a free toy, isn't it? Once after about the amount of time that we waited for the crest, and it suddenly turns up, it's like, well, when did I pay for this again?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
that money's long gone. You don't remember it.
Well,
The throne
it's an
rooms,
investment
you
in
bought
itself,
two,
isn't
you know.
it? It's an investment. By the time it turns up, it's already doubled in value.
Yeah.
But there's a lot shipping around that time. There's the throne room that'll ship around that time. The Velkin Taziri set that Miko, you don't get to complain about anything ever again because you're getting that. There is a wave. The Cad Bane wave, I think, is scheduled for that time here in the
It
States.
says September 15th, but like
so around
already
that time.
And some stuff as always will ship earlier or later, like the Tuscan Warrior Wave. I already got it, and that was scheduled for for August. I mean,
and also
so
speaking
who knows?
of Tuscans, the Tuscan Troop Builder set I think is also supposed to be around that time as well. So there's a lot of expensive things.
When's the N1 due?
December.
Like
Is
December.
that after? Right.
Yeah.
So it could be next week, or who knows?
Yep. Yeah. So
The N1's arriving just at the time where you've got to like spend loads of money on Christmas presents for people.
Back
And
to
to
Just to help you even further.
Well, you know what they're all
so
getting
what-
for Christmas then? N1s.
Yeah. Sorry, children.
people-
You can't get new backpacks, no new school clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yep. And it also charges at the same time that interest begins on my student loans again, and I have to start paying those the month after. So it's a bad time to try to buy the Ghost. But
So we should throw out some dates because I see a lot of people asking when are these things happening. So
traditionally,
we know for a fact that they are launching the HasLab at San Diego Comic-Con, and as we have said, the Hasbro brand panel is Friday, July 21st at 2 p.m. That's when the backing window will probably open. It usually opens right when they announce it. Traditionally, I looked at all the other HasLabs. They're all about between like 42 and 46 days. So it's usually around 45 days. So if that's the case, it'll close and back if it's successful the first week of September. That's why we're kind of saying keep that in mind as a possible date when you're going to need money in your account for this thing to charge.
Just a reminder to everyone in the audience to, they're 5 years on since the first HasLab. There's still people who don't understand how this works. So you don't get charged until the end of the campaign if it is successful. So they don't charge your card or your PayPal account or whatever you're using the moment that you hit the back button. They charge it at the end of the campaign. So you still have time to save. You have all of July. You have all of August. So save your money. Again, I'm going to say that a lot during the stream. It's going to be expensive, okay?
Addressing a couple things too, people who say I'm not interested in animated stuff in TVC. Good news, it's showing up in a live action show during the time the thing is the backing window is.
It's also in Rogue One, which everybody forgets about, and
Rise of
Skywalker. Maybe Rise of Skywalker isn't
you
a
can
selling
drop
point
that
for
if you
everyone,
want to.
but
Assuming, of course, that's what it is.
Yeah, assuming, of course, but
we don't know.
And then someone said, "Will we have another Rancor situation where it passed, it failed as a HasLab, and then shows up in the newest media afterwards?" No, because the Ghost is not a secret in the new media it's coming for. The Rancor was a surprise. We're not going to tell any of our licensors about it. And this is
it's been in the trailer, isn't it? It's in the trailer.
I don't know if
and
Lego revealed their Ghost yesterday, so
and
I was a little confused if that was an official reveal, but I guess Jason from Yakface posted it's on Amazon now, so it is for sale.
Yeah,
so,
and there will be at least 2 episodes of Ahsoka that will have aired by the time the backing window ends. So probably,
yeah, I wouldn't hate if they extended the backing window so more episodes of the show could actually air and people could actually see it in action.
I'm glad you've confirmed that it's 45 days because I was actually I couldn't remember whether it was a month, because if it was a month then it would end just before Ahsoka starts, doesn't it? Which would be really bad.
Yeah.
So
it's almost always 45 days. One of the Transformers ones, the Unicron, let me look at my notes, did not back in that time, and then they extended it quite a bit. It ended being, it got a 36-day extension for 83-day total backing window. That's the exception, not the rule, though, because most of them were about 45 days.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just reading through.
But yeah.
And as we touched on with the Jurassic crowd fund, where the value it adds to the tiers add to the values, at least as it should, not like the Jurassic one where it was all the value was in the tier unlock, so it's pretty worthless by itself. The base offering, and then the tiers are additional things added in. The more people back, the more value, the more bang for the buck that you get with the whole thing.
Because the barge didn't have tier unlocks, they added the yak face figure about halfway through the campaign to kind of goose it. It was first HasLab. Nobody really knew what the whole situation was. Would they offer it again? Why isn't this at Walmart? All those questions were.
Why wasn't it internationally offered? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's the actual good question.
The biggest killer.
People still ask questions about why HasLabs aren't at retail, and we have to kind of explain that retail doesn't want $600 items on their shelves because
how often have you seen a 4-foot sail barge on shelves at Target?
Yeah,
never.
So and then the Razor Crest had the escape pod and the carbonite blocks and the stand and those 2 carded figures that were similar to items that were already in the main line, which were not, I wouldn't call those essential to have. They're very nice additions to the ship, but it's not like you're already getting your money's worth with the main item, and I hope that they follow suit with that. Whereas unlike the Jurassic thing, it doesn't feel like you're getting your money's worth until you get the entire tier unlock.
Which can be off-putting for momentum and all of that. So
right, the way
if you are interested in it, backing on day one is a safe thing. Again, you don't get charged until the end, and if you're interested in it, keep the momentum going. The more people that back it, the more unlocks there are, the greater the value.
What frustrates me is that people will say, "Oh, I'll wait until X or Y tier is unlocked to back it." It's like, okay, but if everybody thinks like that, then everyone's holding the campaign back instead of keeping the momentum going to push through towards those tiers. There's no benefit to waiting. There's no benefit to waiting at all. So back it on day one. Again, you're not going to get charged. If you want it, back it on day one and help it power through all of those tiers and make it even more worth your money. There's no sense to waiting. And all you're doing is damaging the campaign, the strength of the campaign.
Yeah, whatever it is, I hope they get pretty creative with allowing people to add on additional items, whether those are tiered items or possibly figurines that are part of the item.
Yeah.
And I will say, I did back the Jurassic Park gate, and I noticed that they charge shipping. And I'm trying to remember, wasn't shipping free for the HasLabs, or was it because I was a premium member?
I think it's free for premium members. I think I think we looked back at this. It's sort of been different every time. I think now
their
they charge
website
shipping
says 3 different things. So
okay, because the Mattel one, I was like, maybe I'll back one now and see what happens with it. And I had to pay shipping, and I was like, well, if I buy 2, is it the same shipping? And it was this same shipping. So I was like, oh,
dang.
I think that's a bummer.
A friend of mine who doesn't have premium right now, I think bought the Dragonfly, and it was like $16 shipping or something like that. So not astronomical, but still something. And tax, of course, is a factor as well. So
yeah.
See, we backed the Crest through Xavi over here. We obviously didn't have Pulse last time around. So it's the first for us to do it through Pulse. And I couldn't remember if I'd paid shipping or not. So I actually looked it up, and they charged us £1.99 for shipping. Such a random figure. I don't know why. But it's almost like they felt they had to charge us something, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Well, I'd just like to say to the audience, you guys, we need you to help educate other people and save. Yes, we need you to save. We need you to help encourage other people to save, but we also need to help you educate people on how this works. If you see comments on, Hasbro Pulse's YouTube or Hasbro Pulse Instagram or Hasbro Pulse Facebook, where people say that they're going to wait, or people say that they don't have the money, remind them that they don't get charged until the end of the campaign. Like, do your part to help educate people on how this works. Because believe it or not, even though HasLab has been around for 5 years, we still keep seeing comments from people not understanding how this works. So do your part, help educate people. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you don't want it, you don't want
Cheers.
it. In answer
Yeah.
to some of those questions coming up,
I will say though, if you don't
all
want
have
it,
to buy it.
yes, of course. And I know there's plenty of people out there who are not interested in what this potentially is, right? They want something from the original trilogy or they want something from the prequel trilogy. I'm sure somebody somewhere out there wants something from the sequel trilogy. I haven't heard anything about it. But anyway, just because this isn't the item that you may want, right? You have to understand it's not just about this campaign and this item. There's much more writing on this than that. It's about sending a message to Hasbro about the viability of the vintage collection, the strength of the vintage collection, the passion of the community, right? We've seen now 2 Black Series HasLabs fail now. Okay, if a vintage collection
in fairness,
one
would
also
only count one of those.
right, they all fall
One
under
for
the
figures,
brand.
one for role play. Yeah.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, Star Wars has seen 2 HasLabs fail now. If a vintage collection one also fails, this might start giving Hasbro pause as far as, is this a viable model for Star Wars anymore? Is this IP too weak to offer these sorts of things, right? Especially if it's a more expensive item, potentially, as we've seen in rumors, this might be the most expensive HasLab ever offered for any, IP. I think that if this one does well and it backs quickly, it unlocks all the tiers, and it's a really successful campaign, that will give Hasbro the encouragement that they need to be even more ambitious with potentially their next HasLab project. So you got to understand, it's not just about this campaign and this item. You've got to think to the future about, okay, maybe this HasLab isn't my top want. Okay, this HasLab, if it is what it's rumored to be, it's not my top choice either. But you know what? I'm gonna back the hell out of this thing. I'm gonna support the hell out of it, so that maybe next time it is my top want.
A successful
that's just
HasLab
something
begets another
to think
HasLab.
about. Yes.
Well, also,
exactly.
it's not just about the next HasLab going forward as well. It's about actually building around that item, because if we back that item, there's a good chance that Hasbro would then invest around that item. So as
they've done.
John put together some great images for us over on SWTVC, where the crest has got this huge amount of figures around it now that you can actually put into a display. The barge, obviously, as we know, as over the years they've added to it, and they've put skiffs around it and all sorts of other things that have come with it.
They're still adding to it.
Yeah, still adding. And
100%.
so it's, whereas if it's not backed, that's it. That whole channel, that whole area of sort of media, if you like, could just drop away. So again, it's about driving that as well.
Yeah, and it was interesting when they announced the Rancor HasLab for Black Series. They were like, "It's not a vehicle. It's not a vehicle," because I think they knew by that point so many Black Series vehicles had failed. So then they're like, "Okay, maybe we're not going to invest in that expression." I know everyone loves that word, but they're not going to invest in that, Black Series vehicles anymore. So I don't know. I'm not going to tell people to buy something they don't want, especially when it's so expensive. But
Sure.
But there probably will be ramifications if it does and if it doesn't, So
Yes.
I'm hoping that a lot of people who have, when the HasLab comes up, the Ghost, it has been a very popular one. I know Miko ran a poll in the Facebook group where that was the number one want of people.
Yes.
But then now that it's maybe more rumored, a lot of people are like, "Well, I want this other thing instead." Like,
Steve Evans also had a poll that I think was pretty vocal about the Ghost. I think that was the one he announced, right, as the winner of that poll.
Yeah, somebody else ran a poll on the Vintage Collection Facebook group as well. Just some random guy. Forgive me if you're in the audience. I can't remember who you are, what your name was, but it ended up with the same result. The Ghost came up on top, and the Death Star once again came in a close second place.
This is what I was just about to say.
It's pretty consistent. So
if this doesn't back, then I honestly don't know what to say, because for the last however long, people have been banging on about the ghost.
Yes.
If
You better
it
put
is
your
the
money
ghost,
where
you
your
know?
mouth is. If you've been
So
asking
if
for
it doesn't back, then we've kind of only really got ourselves to blame, really. I think, because
100%.
they are giving you what the community wants.
Yes.
If it is the ghost,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
I think it comes down to execution too. You know,
Sure.
like we just talked about with the Jurassic Park fence and the Rand Core. You know, how are they going to execute it? How are they going to stagger these tiers? What are the stretch goal thresholds? I mean, I get concerned that they're going to put a high number on some of these tiers, and is the price point going to warrant that? But I do think that people will come in, and because it's a new ship, if it's the Ghost, investors will come in. I think people with different scales will come in and want it as a backdrop to their collection, whether they're Black Series collectors or even, you know, I don't know, some other prop type collectors. Because I don't know, Victoria, do they have any Hot Toys figures for Rebels? But
No, not yet. I mean, just Ahsoka, but she's not
Right.
like Rebels focused.
Right. So I guess I'm saying, you know, anyone who's a Star Wars collector in general and really wants that vehicle in a decent scale, this is the one. So, you know,
and if you want those figures from those properties, Rebels does very well in our March Madness tournaments. You know, if the thing to build the line around fails and people send a message, oh, I guess we won't buy this, then kiss the chances of seeing those figures in the line goodbye as well, probably.
Right.
I mean, we're in an economy right now in the U.S. where things are tightening up, and like we talked about, a lot of things are coming, are shipping. There's just a lot going on here, and people's wallets are starting to get tightened up. So it gets concerning to me if these stretch goals are too ambitious.
Yeah,
100%.
It could be some
I
trouble.
also, looking back again, sorry, I'm always checking my notes a little too late after I start talking. But the Razor Crest, the initial threshold was only 6,000 backers, which I think is not terrible. And it ended up getting, 28,000. And I think that was a lot of.
What was the Rancor?
9,000? 8,000.
8,000.
It was it's supposed to be 9,000. It got 8,533. Yeah.
There seems to be. I know it's not always the same, but the cheaper items seem to need more backing, don't they? It seems to be the higher the value, the less backers. Seems to be that kind of balance.
Yeah.
So you would hope if it's the price that we're hearing, then the initial backing would be, relatively low to kind of balance that.
Yeah, and the final tier for the Rancor was supposed to be 19,000 to get Luke, Jedi on a Power of the Force card.
That's the worry thing about what John's saying there, because if it's quite a specific thing, isn't it, with the Ghost, if it is the Ghost, because you've got the Ghost crew, haven't you? And do you want that vehicle with, say, only 2 of the crew? Like, if let's just say the figures are the stretch goals, for example, and maybe they're in one pot, so you get them all at once, or maybe they're staggered. We don't know. But you'd be pretty gutted, wouldn't you, if it didn't hit the last 2 tiers, because they are maybe unrealistically high because of the amount that this thing is going to cost. That would be a bit disappointing for a lot of people, I think. So it's John. You're right.
Hopefully they've not
how they
looked at
execute it is really, really important.
Yeah.
So hopefully that 28,000 that the Crest sold, they've not looked at that as a sort of, we can sell 28,000 of these things, because that could be a worry. Yeah.
And I would just like to say, we got criticized. I'm not gonna throw any names out, but we got criticized for telling people what to do with their money. Let me be clear.
Screw them.
I'm not telling you what to do with your money. You can do whatever you want with your money.
But if you
spent
want
my money on all sorts of things, some good, some bad. But anyway, we're just telling you that if this is something you want, then support it 100%. That's all.
Yep.
And
if you want to see the figures that go with it, Yes, as well. Yeah.
And
You want to see them
and
in the
again,
line.
you have to think about, okay, if a $600 HasLab, which is what this item is rumored to be, is successful, perhaps Hasbro could try something even more ambitious with the next one, like say $1,000 one.
Steady on.
I don't know. I'm just saying it's possible. You got to think about what else could they go for? How ambitious could they get? Right?
Well, and that's a question I have
If
here.
a $600 HasLab doesn't back, then they might think, oh, maybe that sweet spot is $350 and people aren't going to go any higher than that. Right? You got to understand the messages that you're sending to Hasbro.
I do wonder sometimes, because the barge got like 8,000 something backers, and the goal was 5,000. At the time, that was sort of like, holy crap, this is the centerpiece for the collection. Can we really ingest a new, $500, $300, $600 item every few years? I know, Tyler, you say, yes, I want more. I want 6 a year. Some people might say, I don't need
at least one a year. I don't want 3-year gaps between HasLabs.
Yeah.
Sure, but some people might say, okay, the barge is like a great, end point. Not saying that I'm saying that, but that's the centerpiece. Do I need to ingest a new one every so often, a giant item?
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people saying it's too big. Like just the space alone is enough to put them off. I've seen a lot of people say that, not because of the media, not because of the price, but just simply because where do you put it in a collection? So
yeah, which means we should get more Black Series vehicles.
So what you need to do is start planning your extensions, start building them now. So by the time it's delivered, you've got a new room to put it in.
Yeah, Tim's
I'm
already.
sure all of you have a coffee table.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing at Victoria's comment. That's all.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yep.
How many times are we going to say if it's the ghost in this?
We're going to say it until July 21st. If it's the ghost.
Yeah.
But, touching on things like the Death Star and future HasLabs, again, talking about dream items in HasLab, things that are all new, things that wouldn't be viable at retail, what would be some things that you guys would consider a dream item, and why is it not, a Republic gunship or a Dagobah playset, for example?
Well, for me, it's like the barge, obviously with that 4-foot long box or whatever, that for me, as you say, is not viable for retail necessarily. Not many retail partners are going to want that on their shelves. So for me, it's kind of like to get vehicles. Doesn't have to be vehicles, but I'm going to use the Sandcrawler as an example. Like the ones that we've got, whether it's that Disney one or the Saga Trilogy Collection one, or for me, it's just not big enough. Like so, that for me would be something that would be a viable HasLab project, like a Sandcrawler. It's never going to be at a proper scale because obviously it dwarfs the Razor Crest in scale with each other, but just something like big and bold like that would be good for me. Or a shuttle, because we've only ever had the shuttle, the same sculpt used right from the Kenner days, like a proper one of those with a decent cockpit and things like that. That's the sort of thing. Of course we can talk about figure packs and things like that, but for me it's just like something grand that I just know I'll never get any other way. That's me.
I'm with you there.
I know maybe I'm not the majority opinion, but I don't really want updates of things that we already have in the collection, because they have offered those before. I would prefer all new items. I think I know Tyler really wants the Imperial shuttle and everything, but I already have it. It looks, you put some Stormtroopers in front of it, you put Vader in front of it, it looks great as is. I don't need a more detailed interior. I personally don't. I know you do. I know some people do, but same with the Sandcrawler. I'm a little more on team Utah Dawn on this. I've got it. It's not the most exciting vehicle ever. It's it's a cool scene in A New Hope, but the ones I have kind of do the trick for me personally. All right. So the Ghost is a dream item for me. I think it fits the bill for me personally. It's something that we didn't get when Rebels was on. It keeps popping up in side stories. It will hopefully get a nice focus soon in Ahsoka. That is something that I've wanted for a long time. Yeah. And I do, going back to do we need to absorb a giant space taking item all the time? I know, Miko, we've all talked about the figure dream packs. I would love to see that idea explored.
Yeah, I wouldn't ever say no to those. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a little small.
And I know, and sometimes they say well, we can get figures out at retail. We do get figures out at retail, but it's obviously we're so behind on so many media properties and so many classic characters that need updates and things like that would be something that I'd like to see at some point.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
So, yeah, I'm with you on the figure pack things. I'm a figure first collector, which can be frustrating quite often.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
Which I love. Don't get me wrong. Love the world building of the vintage collection. That's part of the DNA of 3 3/4-inch Star Wars collecting. But I'm always figure first. So anything that can help, a figure HasLab would not only just get those figures in that, but also provide more tooling to further expand the tooling library for the entire line, not just for the HasLab, but for everything. So they can have more modern parts to choose from, to create more things, to make more characters, have more options. But that's just my thinking with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it'd be great if they can do some things in tandem, right? Like a vehicle and well, I know if this comes about, right, it rumored to have, obviously, and a lot of collectors demanded it, right? If this does happen, we want the crew with it.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's other opportunities in the future, let's say a cantina or a Death Star or whatever, that there's either figures with it, but alongside it, an even more stretched figure campaign or figure dream pack campaign. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be every couple of years we wait for something. It would be nice to see some of these things happening, And if they could, with figure dream packs, it could be, a mock-up of some sort, where obviously maybe they did a bust of the figure from, the chest up, so they didn't spend too much on prototyping or designing it, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's rules or laws or whatever about you have to show a certain amount of the actual product, right? So I don't know if there's a way of, for a figure dream pack, they show 6 or 8 characters and say, maybe they could do a fan vote between 3 different options or something.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Something like that. I don't know what they could do.
And then make all of them just like the vault from the vault. Just make all of them.
Do them all.
Yeah. Because we want them all at the end of the day anyway.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, should we move on from the HasLab thing and just kind of look at TVC in 2023, or does anybody have any final thoughts to throw out about the HasLab? We've talked about it for a little while now.
If we can highlight Peak Obi-Wan's comment about hating the idea of dream packs really quick.
Yeah, we're talking all new here.
Do what they did. So I think obviously right there, I would hope they know that it's obviously never before done or 100% newly tooled figures. But at the same time too is I know a lot of people are against even dream packs in general because they feel like these should just be available and to the mainstream and just come out. And I think part of the reason that we want these dream packs is those of us that live in reality know this isn't happening. So,
well, that's why I said it's to expand the tooling library. And for me, how I'd like to see it is anything that would be in a figure dream pack. You'd ultimately see a version of that character or of that figure in the main line later, just with different accessories, perhaps different card. But it's kind of putting your money where your mouth is to get these figures made, to expand this tooling, to provide more options.
Yeah. And
Can we just highlight?
Sorry, say one. Yeah. What
Go
comment?
ahead, John.
Sorry. Go ahead. Is it part of this? Comment?
No. Go ahead, John.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, also this Pulse exclusivity with Shop Disney that tends to never happen on Shop Disney. I get concerned with some of that as well. For example, the Skiff Guard pack or Jabba Goon pack. I know there's concern that that's still available for pre-order. It didn't sell out on Hasbro Pulse. I'm not sure if it did in the UK or any of the other Pulse channels, but I would say at that point, why limit it to such, why not make it more of a global reach with some of your other wholesalers and distributors and sell more of that product instead of having it so confined to Pulse exclusivity? Just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we've seen that happen with a few other like Walmart exclusives. They end up going to Entertainment Earth or whatever. So maybe they could open it up.
I worry about that not being a success in some people's eyes, possibly Hasbro's eyes, if it didn't sell out. So I hope to address that and get some honest answers from them as well.
Yeah.
They seem to produce quite a lot of those 4-packs, though, don't they? Like the Bad Batch one. At first,
they've done
on Amazon,
4,
weren't they?
Right.
Everyone was panicking on Amazon, and then 3 months later, when it came out, you can still buy it now. I think that Bad Batch 4-pack. So there just seems to be a lot of those, and even the Goons 3-pack, the first one they did. I'm pretty sure there's some places that you can, like Robot Kingdom in
those both went
through
a second run, I believe, though. Second production.
Right.
So
because it didn't quite meet demand, and then they did another one and it kind of overshot demand, I think. But
yeah.
So maybe they've made more this time of that. I don't know.
The difference is, though, the Bad Batch to a degree had some army builders in there, didn't it? Because I know there were specific characters, but there was also, I know I picked up a few extra to try and get some of those, extra characters. Whereas with the Jabba's Goons, I know some of you customizers out there might buy multiples to pull around, but I think most people are only going to buy one because they're all named characters, aren't they?
Yeah,
and one
price
of them
is
is
quite hefty as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was
like we said, they all use the same. They use the same costume throughout for different characters, so why not?
Yeah, speaking of, can't wait for name-corrected Captain Hauser in the main line.
I got mine, baby. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, I have one, too. I forgot already. I just got it. There it is. Real quick, Tyler, I know you were going to say something, but I have a comment here that I just wanted to pull up because I am pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah, is this the one that you were actually looking at?
Yep.
Oh, look at us.
So what was I saying earlier? There's still people who don't understand how this works. HasLab is crowdfunded. So we come up with the money to make the project happen. It's not part of the already existing budget, aside from maybe some, prototype development costs and marketing and stuff like that.
I think that might be what he's asking with the development budget, because I don't know how much,
Yeah, it's not that they don't understand, Tyler. They're just not as nerdy as you know all these things or care to know everything.
That's fair.
But yeah, that's why I did want to bring that up, because it's one of those where I had a feeling where it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't, pull from the main TVC budget outside of some stuff, but I don't know if we.
Yeah, I think the general consensus too, right, is that it's we're funding the tooling of the main part of this project. Mm-hmm. Anything ancillary to it, like figures or whatnot, tend to be something that's budgeted for mainline, and then has its own partial tooling exclusivity to the HasLab.
Yeah,
like the on the Dragonfly, the G.I. Joe one that's up right now. I know some of the tier unlock figures are like pre-paints. I was talking to some friends who collect that line, and it's like they know they're going to be used for variations of the same characters in the main line, or different characters in the main line with a different head or whatever. But yeah.
So what you're trying to say, John, is if it is the Ghost, then it's potential to have Hera included, which may be an all newly tooled figure, but then we will probably likely get the live action version of her in another way, and it's like a repaint, slight retool type thing.
That's been how they've pretty much done every HasLab for all the lines that John mentioned.
So. I've seen a lot of people asking assuming that this is the ghost, if it is the ghost.
Hashtag.
I've
Yeah,
seen
that's the hashtag.
I've seen a lot of people saying, would they brand this sort of around Ahsoka, or would they brand this around Rebels, right? And to me, Ahsoka is about to come out. It's a piece of new media. So it doesn't make sense to me to put new media stuff in a HasLab as if it couldn't otherwise be offered, when we consistently see new media figures be released in a relatively, well, I don't want to
Do
say
we,
reasonable
though,
amount of
Tyler?
time, but
Do we,
but
though?
what I'm saying is, I think we can safely say that it will probably be branded around Rebels, and any supporting crew figures will be from Rebels.
It's like the
I
Book
mean,
of Boba
the-
Fett throne room. Like,
yeah.
it serves two
You
purposes.
could use it for
so-
both. And at the end of the day, if they released it and
course.
it was an Ahsoka version, you'd get the Ahsoka figures with it, hopefully. And then later on, you'd get some repainted Rebels. So whichever way around it goes, in theory, if this thing's successful, we get everything we want.
That can be one of the tiers. Extra box with your
Well,
preferred
exactly.
thing.
when we look at Hera, for example, I don't think it's as simple as a repaint. Her live action and animated appearances are totally different. At least
I
in
think
terms of
there's-
the Hera that we've
But-
seen in the
believe-
trailer and whatnot.
That's why I said.
Believe me,
partial
I've been
form.
obsessively checking this. They could reuse her legs for both versions, I'm sure. Well, because they also all the characters have season 1 and 2 appearances, and then season 3 and 4 appearances. So it's like,
Right.
so and then if the live action, like Ezra looks the same in that little hologram, and Sabine is going to be wearing similar armor, so then they can repaint her for $25 as a Target exclusive 4 times. So I think it's not a 1-to-1 exact same costume for a lot of the characters, but for some it's closer than we might think.
That's all I was trying to say. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
And or Aldani mission.
Yeah.
Remember those boots?
Trying to forget them.
Oh boy. Well, speaking of that, I guess let's move on from HasLab a little bit. That's okay. Let's talk more general 2023 TVC. Here's where we're at. So we're
Wow, look at that.
Staring down the barrel of San Diego Comic-Con. We have 5 things in the pipeline that hopefully,
yes,
whatever. One of our followers on Instagram asked, it would be Wampa Paloma. He asked, apart from the expected reveals at San Diego Comic-Con, which figures that have been pipelined, and the HasLab, if they reveal one surprise item, what would you like it to be?
Simalu, obviously.
Yeah. Tim, you got well. Let's just look at this real quick. All of this stuff here. So, one, how do you feel about this lineup for 2023?
I think it's been okay. I've got to say that the pipeline at was it a celebration? It was, wasn't it?
That was the last time we got any.
Yeah, those
reviews.
pipelines were meaty pipelines. I've got to say, there's
Mhm.
all 4 or 5 of them that there were. were figures that I 100% want. They're all bad guys, aren't they? As well, weren't they? I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just an awesome lineup.
They're
As
finally
always,
addressing
there's-
the lack of villains in the line.
Yeah, exactly. And I did a video on the lack of villains, and I think at least 4 of those 5. I'm not sure if I did pre-Vizsla, but the other ones are definitely in that list. Of course, there's plenty of repaints going on and whatever, which you're going to get throughout the line. But in terms of some of the figures that we have got this year are of exceptional quality. I've got to say, if you think like Paz Vizsla for me is amazing. We've got the Imperial officer, which opens the door for loads of different characters, which is something that I've wanted for a long time as well. I'm just trying to think, even the Andor, some of the Andor figures, and even just the head on that Aldani. I know the boots are a bad thing, but if you look at that figure, the Aldani mission figure, he's just so good, like the detail and everything. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? It can always be better in my mind, but I can't really grumble when I look at previous years. Some of the figures there. Cad Bane, unbelievable figure. The Boba Fett that comes with the Slave one, unbelievable figure. So the new figures are exceptional. It's when they do too many repaints and repacks, I think people don't like it.
Absolutely. Miko, how you been feeling about the line this year?
I'm still waiting for half the stuff that Tim got 6 months ago.
Well, same. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a great mix, right, of a lot of different medias. Obviously, I'm excited for more Jabba Goons, which we're getting obviously Velkin. That's a character debut in the line, and we're getting a classic. And Tam Tringaran. And then we're getting Tessic, who's obviously a Kenner favorite. I think that was Tim's favorite when he was younger, right? If I remember correctly, or one of your favorites.
Squiddy.
Squidhead.
Squiddy. Oh yeah, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. I'm very happy with him. Yeah.
Squiddy.
But yeah, I'm super excited for some of the other new offerings too, like Chrysanthemum and Cad Bane, the Throne Room. Very excited for all that, and I just want more Return of the Jedi stuff because it's my favorite movie. But we're getting a lot of that too. So.
Should I mention to John and Tyler, I sent you guys quick and dirty numbers that I did last night. Is this a good time to bring those up?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So just
You're
looking.
trying to stay positive. I thought you said positive.
Yeah. Well, no.
I want to keep those numbers under your hat.
You know what? Oh wait.
Hey, you know what? If we're too positive, everybody calls us
joking.
skills. So
Well, yeah. We can keep going through everybody's thoughts on the line so far
Yeah.
this year. If that's included in your thoughts, then go nuts.
I have no thoughts. Have you met me? Victoria,
Just numbers.
you said you needed us to catch you up on what was going on this year. Here it is, all in photo format. So have you been picking this stuff up, or how are you feeling about what's been out there this year?
No, I think I think overall this year it's been okay. I mean, I do have some thoughts about some of the stuff. I do appreciate the Return of the Jedi representation this year because it is the 40th, and they've done a lot better than they did with the Empire Strikes Back's 40th.
Yeah.
Some of the things like the ATST, like that was a really, I wouldn't say it was super exciting because we've had it a million times, but when they said that the legs were fixed, I thought that was really exciting. But mine, maybe I just got a bad one, but it's already fallen over a couple of times.
Yeah, mine too. I had to tighten up the joints yesterday.
Bummer.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that stuff. The only thing I haven't picked up is the Slave one, just because it's a little bit different. It's cool, but you can get the boba individually packed, and it's just, I don't know, it's just really not different enough for me to commit to that sort of a price point, just for something I already have. It's already so similar. But everything else I have, pre-ordered or purchased. Other exception, the 212th Battalion clones. I haven't picked those up yet. I know they just went up last week, but I just haven't gone there yet. But I intend to eventually. I just want to make sure that I do get the solid paint on the visor. The most frustrating thing I would say, there's a couple of things that. Firstly, the Boba Fett's. I haven't gotten any of those. I didn't see the vintage color one at retail. I missed all those pre-orders, and of course, they never went back up really. Or if they did, it was only for moments at a time. And you're at work, things happen. You don't see it right away. So that's been a little bit frustrating with those. The clone ARC Trooper stuff, that's cool. I'm a little burnt out on those. I love clones. I love ARC Troopers, but I like it when they're more meaningful. Some of these are just random characters that I don't really know who they are. They're cool to have, but to me they're a little less essential than some other versions that would be cool. I'd love them to go back to Revenge of the Sith and do the all red Commander Devis, or to do even the green striped one they did back then. Those would be neat to see. I also want to remark that, and I say this because in previous years, Hasbro has been amazing at this, and they've done a really, props them for doing a really good job. This year, there is only one, so far, there's only one female human figure. There's a couple of aliens. You have Nisa, you have the Tuscan warrior. I'm presuming that it's female. So Val's the only one. Where's Leia? Where's Padme? There's other characters obviously that could be announced, that could be, part of this line. At this stage, we're halfway through the year. I feel like there should be a little bit more in there. But some of the other stuff is really exciting. Some of the villains, going back to Rogue One, Director Krennic, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love the Clone Wars stuff. I love, seeing that, Thrawn's coming, some of these villains, awesome. The N1's a great thing to look forward to. The Throne Room's a great thing to look forward to. Yes, I mean, I wouldn't say this is probably, like, for me personally, the best TVC year so far. But I would say it's been pretty solid. And honestly, when you think back to how things were, just a few years ago, I mean, it's pretty remarkable that this is what the lineup looks like. But just knowing what the potential for the greatness to be taken to even higher level is, makes it a little bit of puts a little bit of a damper on it for me personally. But I'm happy for what I'm seeing overall. I just hope that there's a little bit more to get excited about as the year continues.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, Tyler, how you been feeling about it?
Victoria is, of course, entitled to her opinion. I have to disagree and say that at least since the relaunch of the line, I might not necessarily say, in comparison to TVC 1.0, that was a long time ago. It was a very different time. But as far as since the relaunch of the line in 2018, I think, to me, there's no question this is the healthiest year since the relaunch of the line, as far as the number of new sculpts, the number of new expressions. We've got, small vehicles coming back. We've got beasts coming back. We've got a new expression in the 2-packs, the sort of like showdown packs. There's a huge chunk of the March Madness bracket has been checked off. So I'm looking forward to seeing a radically different tournament next year. Finally.
Yeah.
But again, to me, it's representative of, they're listening. We asked them to bring beasts back. Check. We asked them to bring small vehicles back and speeder bikes back. Check. We've asked them for a number of the figures on this list between, Squidhead and Velkin and Admiral Piet and, Krennic and Revan and Thrawn and all these different characters. Check. I mean, to me, I think it's a spectacular year. But I do concede, Victoria, good point on the lack of female representation. They could definitely do better in that department for sure. But I'd like to see some new Leias and some new Padmes for sure, 100%. But I have very little to complain about this year personally.
Have you said Thrawn yet?
Thrawn, obviously.
And
Waiting for that.
if we could speak to that Thrawn really quick, isn't that his Rebels expression? So what does that tell you?
Yeah, they did say, it's going to be on a Rebels card.
It's almost as if that's an indication that they're going to do more
Breadcrumbs.
with that.
He's going with the Ewok Village.
I wonder who else could be offered to go with Thrawn. Definitely an Ewok Village. That's definitely what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But
remember when Thrawn was on Dagobah lifting the X-wing? Miko, you chimed in the comments. I'm watching. You said you didn't get to.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, a couple of frustrations I have, which we've all been banging on these drums for a long time, is just one of them being when they use partial tooling that's either inaccurate or not the best choice at the time. Yes. Again, I'll say that his expression is pretty amazing. For some reason, it looks better from the side angle. Maybe Harrison agrees. He's like, I only like me from the left side. But that lower body is just terrible. It's inaccurate. I think I had spoken to Tyler at one point, and he was like, they could use the Imperial officer lower legs. I think that was you, Tyler. But I know, I know, they have to work around whatever's being in the factory, what tooling's available to reuse. But I think I tend to agree with Bantha Skull in that I would have happily waited for this figure for them to make it even more accurate. It is not terrible, but it is one of our heroes, and I'll echo what Victoria said in the past. If they are our core heroes, please make them perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Paraphrasing,
Don't make 'em at all.
so to speak. And he does, I will agree with our co-admin Lando that it is great to get this out with the bunker. So, maybe there was some choices made there so he can go alongside it. And we've spoken to some of the other tools that, like Cassian Andor and whatnot. I just worry about that going on in the future. And I just want them to be as mindful as possible and care for this line as much as they care about some of the other lines, because I don't think these things happen as bad in the other lines. And my only other frustration is, can you please fix the US distribution and get us stuff more timely? Because that has been super frustrating.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I'll chime in on the Han thing, where I actually quite like the figure overall, but the lack of rocker ankles destroys it for me. Velkin Taziri should not have rocker ankles when Han Solo does not.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's some great things, but like, what is this hand doing? I don't know. He's waiting to hold like a joystick or
You don't
something.
walk around like that?
And mine, his hips are fused. I cannot.
Yeah,
flex.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, the
Thomas,
hips are really tight.
The biggest disappointment for me on that figure was the hips. They're just unworkable on mine.
Mm-hmm.
He will be coming with me to San Diego Comic-Con, and at some point, I will pull him out and I will talk about him.
What is this?
It will be constructive. It will be constructive, I promise.
Please tell me what this is.
I will pet him as I talk.
If I can chime in and say,
Yeah, who did
Another
I get
figure-
to?
huh?
Did I not get? I didn't get to you or Lewis, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah, go
Lewis.
for it.
If I can just
No,
say,
go
just
for it.
on the same subject of reuse, another figure in the same wave, which I think is an A+ figure, is the Vader, which uses the body from last year. So sometimes they're going to reuse stuff, obviously, but it helps when it's only a year old instead of 5 years old, and it's got all the new articulation and stuff. Like, I think the Vader is just incredible. It was the Dark Times one was already great, and just I love the portrait on this. I love that they finally got the removable hand correct to go with the removable helmet. I think for the first time since '98 they got that correct. Maybe other ones were only removable at the glove or whatever, but I think that's the kind of reuse that I'm totally fine with. Tusken Warrior is kind of fine, not perfect, annoying hips. Han, fine, not perfect, annoying hip. The best Han Solo we've had, as Lewis has said, but not perfect. I think overall, I'm always big on themes and building out worlds, and I love what they've done with Return of the Jedi for the 40th. I love that they're finally getting Book of Boba Fett figures in the line, albeit even if they saw at the same time we did, so they couldn't start development until the episodes came out a year and a half ago. I'm glad they're doing it now. I'm hopeful that there will be lots of Ahsoka stuff ready to go. Lego's already getting stuff out. We know they didn't completely hide it from the manufacturers this time. Excited for the 2-packs, excited for vehicles, big and small, new and repainted. The paint looks great, even if the vehicles themselves are not 100% new. I think it's been a pretty good year so far, and looking forward to more. I know we're getting to the anniversaries in a little bit, but I hope that there's more for Clone Wars 20th than just those 3 clone troopers, and I guess Pre Vizsla might go under that banner. That's been kind of a miss. Like, why do anything if you're not going to do more than 4 figures? But I don't know. And still need more Bad Batch and Andor. Always goes without saying, but going to say it anyway.
Lewis?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone else has pretty much said everything I would say. I totally agree with the new figures. They've totally nailed it. I think everything newly tooled, I can't fault, to be honest. Cad Bane, Vader, they're all fantastic. Where we're seeing the things that everyone sort of, cringes at a bit is when they're doing some of the reuse that that they're obviously doing to try and get those figures out there and make use of what they've got. But I think for me, this year, what we've seen them doing well over the last few years is actually reusing that tooling well. So, you know, we've all been saying for a long while, give us a new Imperial officer and then you can, you know, reuse the hell out of it. And that's exactly what they're now doing. And, you know, even again with the Mandalorian sculpts, we're seeing some great Mandalorians. You know, no one can fault any of the Mandalorians we've got. They're all amazing. And then you sort of look again, the ARC Troopers, okay, that wasn't perfect, but they've done well out of it. Perhaps it does need retiring. I think the Clone Trooper is a near miss. I mean, again, they were very close to getting that definitive Trooper. We know there's the problems with the helmet, and I think if they can sort that helmet out, then they can knock out those, you know, those Clone Troopers for the next decade. But they do need to sort. There's those little things that I think they just need to improve. But I agree, the vehicles, you know, the creatures we're seeing again. I mean, when you look at you know, the throne room we've got, I know there was that rumor that it was potentially going to be a HasLab somewhere before, but you know, to get that and to get HasLab as well, I mean, I think we're doing well. And you know, the detail on that thing is absolutely amazing. And I think when you look at the detail on that, you know, even the Navarro Cantina, it has its flaws, but there's some really good stuff in that set. You know, some of the tooling, the little pieces, they really do put a lot into it. And I think they're really selling it as a premium line. And I think you look at the, you know, the Razor Crest, even the N1 coming up, that the quality of those is just, it's at another level that I don't think we've seen over previous years. So yes, price has gone up, but you know, quality in generally, when you're talking new stuff, quality has gone up. Yes, there's quality issues elsewhere, but you know, I'm happy with where we are. I still feel we have a bit of a way to go. And for me, I agree with what John said there. You know, for me now, sitting here, last year, March Madness, I didn't put any Andor characters at all on my list because I thought I'll give Hasbro a chance. I'll give them, you know, we'll give them 12 months to have a look, see what they can do. But we still haven't got any pipelines at all of anything from Andor. And at this point, I don't know if we ever will. And for me, that's where, again, the line is missing out. And I know the Black Series haven't had tons and tons of figures, but they're just getting more of those new media still than we are. And for me, that's where I think we still need to make some ground, you know, get some more of that new media out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
I know a lot of people mention in the chats here, we need more prequel stuff. I'm really hoping. So the oldest thing in the pipeline right now is the Obi-Wan Vader set. That was pipelined in February, correct?
Sure.
Yes, it was. I'm really hoping that Hasbro doesn't skimp out there and that the Obi-Wan does have new prequel Jedi tooling. Then that way that could open a lot of doors to a lot of Jedi characters.
We definitely need a new Jedi. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be incredible. That would then allow for me to get my number one figure want, which would be the final scene, hello there, Obi-Wan, from the end of the series and that Mythos-inspired look, which is coming to Black Series probably
Great
tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah.
And also, can I say one thing about the clone real quick? I also agree that it's very close to perfect. I wish it was whiter. Like it's kind of yellow already, and it looks just like a little, especially compared to a Stormtrooper. Just, you know, you can't really see it, but it's just like that's just another thing I want them to.
It seems to be like a different plastic, doesn't it? And also, one of my 212s has a yellowy leg, like just part of his leg is.
Yeah, I noticed that on mine.
Yeah, so only on one of them. So those QC issues are there, aren't they? But that clone for me is something I've been banging on about for ages, and the body is really good. I mean, I've seen some people not, you know, saying it's trash, but I actually think the body on that thing's great.
Perfect.
They just need to sort the helmet out, whether it is a bit gummy still, and it, you know, obviously they need to make the visor thicker and what have you, and make sure we have the brow. Or maybe just don't have, you know, heads under there. Or just go the extra mile and give us the removable head and helmet, you know, like they did with Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
Like.
When you look back at TVC, we had the original Stormtrooper, which was VC-41, which had the removable helmet, which was terrible. I mean, the helmet was all squished out of shape, never looked right.
Yeah, awful.
If you look at VC, was it 09, Boba Fett? I mean, again, the Boba Fett figure had a terrible helmet. It's just proven it just doesn't work. So, you know, by improving both of those figures, they've done it the right way. They've just given them straight up helmets, you know.
Well, I also think that maybe it's my eyes playing tricks on me, but I think I like Waxer's helmet looks a little better than the other guys because I think it works best on bald characters. Like Boba's helmets have been fine, but I think the hair maybe makes the helmet squish out a little bit or something. Just they got to dial that in a little bit more.
Yeah, you're right. You are right. Definitely. Waxer's helmet does look a bit better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Was it in your group, John? I think I saw somebody like get a Lobot head and then shave off the like thing that goes around his head and then put the helmet on there. And because of the back piece, it sort of stretched the helmet out this way, made it more pointy than flat. And it looked great. It looked really good. And they did paint the visor, I think, a bit more as well. I think it's like creating a custom. It looked incredible. Whoever does those customs.
I think so, yeah.
Interesting.
Well, real quick to those watching, drop some comments, questions. Sorry, if you have any questions for any of us here, please drop them in the chat, and let's go around and do those here in just a sec. But I will continue on the Return of the Jedi 40 mini beat that we started with our Return of the Jedi episode of the SWTVC podcast, and I said I was going to share throughout the year on live streams and podcasts the stories that folks provided for us. So anyway, while folks come up with questions and put them there, I've got one from The Dark Side, the admin of the French Star Wars: The Vintage Collection Facebook group, friend of SWTVC, and he's taken part in March Madness the past couple of years and been really helpful with that, which is awesome. He said about Return of the Jedi, I was 8 in 1983. I became a big fan of Star Wars 3 years before with Empire Strikes Back, the first movie I saw in the cinema. Then Return of the Jedi was for me the most anticipated film ever. It became my favorite instantly. What a big journey with such original and brilliant characters. Jabba, the Emperor, the Ewoks, and what an emotional movie with the redemption of Darth Vader. And what about the brilliant Battle of Endor? All these scenes I reproduced with my Kenner figures thousands of times, and now with my dioramas. This film includes the biggest number of characters in a Star Wars film. Return of the Jedi has the essential DNA of Star Wars, and it's still my number one 40 years later. That's why I'm a big lobbyist to make sure all the characters join the Vintage Collection. Us too, man. So thank you for writing that. And again, I'll be continuing that throughout upcoming live streams and episodes of the podcast this year. I promise we'll do more episodes of the podcast. Working on it, I know. Let's see. There is a question I'm going to circle back to real fast from earlier. The Last Clone Customs asks, mentioned it earlier, but wanted to hear the panel's opinion about if it is a ghost. If it's the ghost, would they do a normal wave release of the crew? What are your guys' thoughts on that? I know we kind of touched on that, but may as well circle around to it. And let's just go around. Tim, you start since you're the first up on my screen. So,
well, I think history says that figures that come in these HasLabs are often versions of things that we've already got. So my guess is that, as Tyler said, I think that the ones that you'll get or that are available with the ghost, if it is the ghost, will be based on Rebels, and then at least the ones that are going to be in the Ahsoka show that we have seen in the trailer, so there's no spoilers. Hera, for example, you're going to potentially get those as well. Whether they'll do, all of them again in another way, outside the crest, I don't think so personally, but you never know.
I think that answers it, unless anybody else wants to jump on.
I just think basically if you want the Rebels style version of those characters, all of them, maybe, hopefully, then the HasLab will be how you get them.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then you might get like different like versions from different series, because they change, don't they, as they go on.
Mm-hmm.
Come out using retooling pieces of them or whatever.
Next question up, and then anyone just jump on these if you want to answer it. So I'm just going through, so it won't be me. Any one of you.
Victoria, please answer that one, please.
No, Hasbro's never going to release any more clone officers.
Somebody mentioned, though, I would like to see the naval officer, which is basically the Imperial officer, but with a clone head. And I know there's differences, like they've got like a black stripe going down the front, but I feel like they could do that with Deco. And I'd kind of be okay with that. And it's a different rank badge. I'm sure they will continue to add more rank badges, hopefully, for Tyler. But I think that would be a fun one to see. That would be a fairly easy one for them to do, I think.
100%. And they could put it on a gaming grade card as well as a
definitely.
Clone Wars card, because if you played Battlefront, then you know. And if you
I saw
haven't,
somebody in
then
the
you
chat.
should fix yourself.
Somebody in the chat mentioned Battlefront, and there's a lot of fun clones they could do from that as well. I know as they get into the clone repaints, I'm sure they've got a bunch planned, but you know.
Where are we sitting at with the original 96? If anybody knows, it's probably you, John.
Well, I haven't done an update lately. I will update and say Lewis is back if you want to let him back in.
Never.
But I hope they finish the 96. As we know, I didn't wear the shirt today, but I know Timmy just pointed out one of the Rebel officer or New Republic officers that's in the Lego set for the Ghost looks a lot like Maydeen, and some of those guys.
It does look like Maydeen, yeah.
And there've been some of the, like Tim Meadows played a guy like that in Mando season 3. So not the most exciting, but now that we've got a new Imperial officer, it'd be nice to get a new Rebel officer. Start with Maydeen, get some mileage out of that sculpt.
I mean that Instagram post was kind of tongue in cheek, because at the end of the day, I think General Maydeen is probably the last figure that they would want to do to finish the 96.
I have to disagree.
No, it's going to be Simalu. We'll never get Simalu.
Yeah.
They could retool him to make other Rebel officers, and again, ones from Battlefront, for example, or
they could
or even from the Mandalorian.
I don't know.
I can't remember the name of the guy, but the one who denied help to Captain Teva or Teva, whatever his name is.
Tim Meadows plays him. I'm forgetting his name, but
they could make him with a simple retool.
I might be kicked off the stream for saying this, but they could, maybe they shouldn't, but they could reuse some of the General Lando outfit for a Maydeen if they want to get some like really simple sculpting in there. It's not great, it's outdated, but if that's the way some of these like Walmart exclusive original 96 figures are just kind of, what they got, they could do that. Yeah. Lewis, are you having a strobe light?
Yeah, I think what's going on. Sorry, weird technical issues going on. I'm not sure.
One of Tim's Ewok raves, maybe. But
I was going to say, if there is ever a Death Star HasLab, that's where Simalu can enter.
Yes, please.
The chat.
All right, next question up. Why do you think we've seen weapons like lightsabers and pistols made too small in newer figures? I'll add to that, and why so gummy with the guns? But
yes, that's a big problem.
I don't know if it has to do with the level of range and some of the articulation, and them thinking, well, if we made these too rigid, the weapon might snap or break, and that might cause more returns or more complaining. I don't know, but there's definitely a happy medium between too rigid and too gummy.
I forgot on the Disney Droid set, the Obi-Wan set. I opened the Ned B from that a few months ago, and he's very rigid. He's very stiff, and I broke the ankle off. And then I bought another one, and I broke the ankle off again. Did you do the same thing?
I did the same. I just glued it and called it a day.
I think I'm going to have to do that. So that I'm sure that's probably why they don't want to do that. But it is a happy medium. Some of these clone guns are too gummy, but you can't go too rigid or else it'll snap in half, and that's no fun either. So,
I think I snapped. Oh no. I had some what's the Mando from season 1 of the Mandalorian that comes down and saves Din Djarin? I can't think right now.
Death Watch Mandalorian.
Death Watch. The Death Watch one. I had some resin blasters made, and I snapped one of those trying to, articulate it in his hands. So
makes sense. 2 people asked here about pre-orders versus no pre-orders. Interestingly, there was only a few things that actually weren't up for pre-order. So when Hasbro, I know we've talked about this before, I don't think Hasbro ever said no more pre-orders. It was they were going to be reducing the numbers of pre-orders. And I think that really only extended to this Han Vader wave, not even the whole thing, because they let the Tusken Warrior go up, and the 212th set.
It was just the stuff that they revealed on the February 1st live stream.
Yeah.
But it was frustrating because it extended to several different waves and different items and things. So it was kind of like yeah, you could pre-order one figure from the wave, and then you could pre-order the case of that wave, but then you couldn't get the other figures until they go up. Like the Weequay and Vader are still, and Han are still not up on Pulse individually, because they're waiting for those to come in stock.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It just creates some confusion too, right? It's like
For sure.
you're forgetting what's in waves, which assortment has what.
Just to jump up on this, someone commented they take your money up front. No, they don't. It's charged when they ship. So
yeah, some more smaller boutique type stores will charge you up front, but the main retailers won't charge you up front.
Yeah,
Just Target, they'll ding your card every like week.
yeah.
Oh, Target
$1.25 or something.
They are the worst.
What did we say an hour and 34 minutes ago? Target is the worst.
Yes.
The problem is
Hasn't
as well,
changed.
you're paying double. You're paying extra shipping each time as well. When you order like the Tuscan
Yes.
Warrior, you
Yeah.
pay shipping.
Well, unless
and
you
then
have
another
Pulse
one comes out
Premium.
for pre-order. You know, it's just that's the most annoying thing for me. I just
Yeah.
want to be able
Did
to
you
order
guys-
the whole wave together. And
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's too scattered. And
Yeah.
especially with everything, even figures from the same wave will oftentimes have different shipping dates or different dates of availability, which makes it all very confusing to track. So
Wasn't go ahead, John.
Oh, I was just gonna say I saw some of the comments. I did quite like how the 212th went up. You ordered it, it came a few days later, or whatever. That was like, oh, that's a nice change of pace. And it was the same with some of the figures from like the Star Killer wave. Once they became like, I got the case in April, and then the figures didn't go up individually until like June.
Mhm.
It was kind of a fun change of pace, not waiting 10 months for something.
Yeah.
Was it the Lando assortment that
Yep.
they waited to announce all of the figures and then did the pre-order?
Because they had like pipelined them separately, but then they finally said they're all going to go up. Yeah, later, like once they're actually available. That was one they did a similar. It's all been a little different. They keep experimenting with different things.
I feel like in an ideal world, it would just be great if they could announce an entire wave and put it up for pre-order the next day.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. We know of things from like they've announced things from like 3 upcoming waves that have 1 or 2 figures revealed and the rest are mysteries.
Like when they were doing the Mando Mania or Mando Mondays or whatever it was this time, they would have
Yeah.
only the Mandalorian themed figures, but they're spread out across like 5 different waves. So we had like 5 different waves on pre-order at one point.
And everybody's most wanted Mandalorian season 3 figure, R5D4. That's the one we're getting. That's it. So in January, February, March, whenever. But this one, any particular recommendations on containers, drawers, units that work well for loose bagged figures? Thank you guys for making
This is a good one
Yeah.
for me.
Utah Don, man, he's got some great ideas on that. I think he's posted before, and if not, chime in. I know he's in the chat, but he has like, I think the military mind of his, which Tyler can understand. He's a very organized individual.
I'll
Utah Don just started
Oh, sorry.
I'll just say Utah Don just started a YouTube channel, so maybe he'll do a
Yes.
video about that next.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah, yeah.
pretty
Go
cool.
subscribe to his
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I watched
Agreed.
that. I watched that.
This isn't really drawers, doesn't really answer, but I use these little figure coffins. There's a couple different sizes, and then they're all in boxes right now. But before my basement started flooding, I was going to be putting up a peg wall to hang these things up. So that was going to be my preferred method of storage.
I do that as well, Evan, and I usually
Loose
box them
bag
with their
figures.
accessories and all
Yep.
that stuff to keep them.
John, Miko, didn't you? I think it might have been you to say that said to store them in acid-free bags. Is that?
Oh, I don't know if it
That
was
might come
me,
from
but
me, actually.
Or maybe it was
Yeah.
Tim. I'm sorry.
Yeah, acid-free or non-toxic. That's why I put them in those.
yeah.
So like standard Ziploc bags are not necessarily.
I think the
that,
cheap ones
right?
they might damage your figures. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's like over a very long period of time.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
Yeah, some
Um,
plastic bags like disintegrate like over time. Like even if
Yeah.
you just put them like in a box, keep them inside the house, they'll still disintegrate. So yeah, like the acid free. I think even Walmart actually sells those like craft bags that are acid free. You can buy them pretty inexpensively, different
Yeah.
sizes.
Evan, I think Lewis is back, by the way.
Oh, good.
That's
I see him
a,
flashing down on the bottom.
That's a mud trooper, what they call Mimbam trooper from Solo that fell off the card. Just glue and falling off the card.
Hey, Lewis is back.
Happened recently.
So just to chime in, I was listening to that. I actually keep most of mine in baggies as well. I mean, I've got literally tons and tons and tons and tons of bits, and they're all just in separate bags. But I do try and keep them so like TVC 1.0, TVC, 2, just so if I am rummaging around for something, I haven't got to go for a massive tub of stuff. So at least they're sort of in some kind of order.
Toys Are the Way has a YouTube channel as well. Go like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Good dude, great videos. Will we ever see a blurg? No. At this point, I doubt it. But what do you guys think?
Well,
yeah.
If I could jump in here, one thing that's maddening to me is that, they put out Muddy Mando in the Black Series, but didn't give them a Mudhorn. And it's like, okay,
did you want them to
get a No, my point is make Muddy Mando for the vintage collection and put out the Mudhorn in the world building scale, the scale that's supposed to be integrated with beasts and vehicles and playsets and all that stuff. It's like, where's our Muddy Mando and where's our Mudhorn and where's our blurg? Come on, we're still pushing for that stuff. But I would say at this point, a blurg seems exceedingly unlikely because it's just been such a long time. Unless they pop up in new media yet again. I was going to
say, could they pop up in Ahsoka? I mean, they were in Rebels, weren't they?
Maybe. Yeah, and they're on Ryloth, and if Hera's going home for some reason, hey, there's a blurg in the background again. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I hope that they use this small vehicle thing, not to just do speeder bike repaints every 6 months.
I already have.
There's a couple more speeder repaints that I want, like a shadow.
Now that I say that, actually,
nice black
swoop bike.
Sprinkle some.
Give me some black ones.
Yeah, Mando speeder bike, but sprinkle some more creatures in there too.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Just a quick thing. We don't have to linger on this too long. I think it's just a gamble. There's no guarantees on what you're going to get with these. The brow lines on the clones on the 212th. I guess the only thing is just when you order it, just look at the date stamp. We've posted about on SWTVC. We've talked about it. Looks like the ones that were made after, was it late March, beginning of April, and later?
March 29th seems to be the
earliest of the brow
line on it. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a little 5-digit number on your toys, and we don't need to dive into that. That's exhausting.
Well, when we say John, when we tell people, look at the date stamp, not everybody knows what that means, right? And so
there's that. It's also on the figure's leg usually.
There. If you guys can see that.
Nice little crotch shot for you there.
First digit, year, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the first digit is 3, so 2023. If it's 2, it's 2022, et cetera, and then the middle 3 are the day of the year. So I just Googled. So like this guy is 3052. What's the 52nd day of the year? I think it's February, whatever. Yeah. And then
February
the 1
21st.
at the end. Yeah, the 1 is the batch. I think there's usually only ever 1 at the end. Sometimes they do 2 batches in a day or whatever. But that's how you can kind of check. It's not always that interesting. It's not ever that interesting, but it helps for running changes to see what you're probably going to get, especially because now it's in these are in the plastic-free, no window packaging, so you can't see it until you open it.
This was applicable was with the Boba Fett running change, correcting the sensor on the chest, right? I don't think.
Didn't that?
There's been a few other changes.
Didn't that one come up where there was 2 lots coming out? Yeah,
we proved there was 2 different tools created for Fett, and I think they fixed the one that wasn't stamping it in enough.
Yeah.
But if you knew the date stamp, you could figure out which one was it. So, because they were made on specific days. Yeah.
Could we as a community be louder about getting Simalu and the Tonica sisters? We're trying, man.
I don't see how we could be much louder. They consistently pop up on March Madness. Victoria's made a campaign, a petition. Sorry, I was trying to think of the word. A petition for them. I don't know how much louder we can scream it from the rooftops, but there you go. Take your shot, Nico. There you go.
We need Tim. We need Tim to play that video of the sighing or whatever. You know, I will say when it came to Belkin, I know there was a petition that did not get as many signatures as the Tonica Sisters. I think they were a few hundred off, but I think that 4-pack was made because of they were all partial tools and shared that aspect. And I don't know if there's other leveraging that can be done in the future with those, right? So with the Tonicas and Simalu, I think Simalu, right? We all probably know that he can be very similar to Tessic or Bib Fortuna.
Yeah.
In that aspect. So, yeah.
No,
especially
the
with
main
the
character,
Tonicas.
he needs all new tooling. I'm just kidding.
Rocker ankles.
Yeah.
I know you guys have talked about for the Tonica Sisters, they could maybe reuse some Zori Bliss parts.
Yeah.
Or if even that's a little outdated maybe, but if they wanted to do like a new Leia's legs underneath a new Hope Leia, whenever they get around to that, then they could reuse those for the Tonica Sisters for the boots, maybe something like that.
Yeah, the problem is the Tonica Sisters were like 6 feet tall, or you know, the surviving one is 6 feet tall, so like Leia's like 5 feet, so you'd have to really like make some concessions there. But yeah, I mean, make it happen. The petition's still out there. Time for Tonica. Hashtag it. Maybe the next thing we do is we take Angela Staines to Comic-Con and have her sit down with Hasbro or something. But you know, I don't know.
Like, what is your problem? No, I'm just kidding.
And I've said before, like the last few years have surprisingly had a high number of like specific background humans from the original trilogy, which we didn't really get for a long time. But in those Trooper packs or, you know, the Velkin pack or whatever, it's these likenesses that I didn't think we would ever see. So it's, you know, it's not off the table.
Yeah. Here's a question. Do I have to buy the Book of Boba Fett Throne Room, or will they release a Return of the Jedi Jabba Throne Room eventually?
Why would they do that?
They're the same thing. So no.
Yeah.
So
Take
yes,
Boba out,
need to buy
put Jabba in. It's the same thing. I don't know how people are still not.
Yeah.
I think this is a question for in-package collectors, right? That wanted to see it framed around Return of the Jedi and have, you know, that sort of thing.
Well,
if you're an in-package collector, buy a shoebox and print out a Jabba's Throne Room sticker and slap it on there. It's the same thing.
The packaging is iconic, but not everyone was able to or did back the barge, which had the best paint deco. Jabba.
For Jabba, yeah.
For Jabba. So it would be pretty smart and a nice, easy repack for them to do that, and then put in some of the accessories that aren't of the 50 accessories for the Book of Boba Fett. Like one example is where Leia Bouche goes up to unfreeze Han. There is the decanter or whatever that Nizhak Beck is holding on the barge, where he's drinking with both Yak Face and Johnny Mustache's girlfriend, Yarna. BFF there. I know you know a lot about Yarna. What species is she again?
Yeah. She's an Escagian. Yeah.
Who knows that? That's amazing. I love it. But anyways, and then there's the other side that has a whole drink set as well, and it's like a tiered. I've actually had somebody print it for me, so stuff like that could just be easily packed in with.
So John, you're not just.
Would you want that an entire, like repacking the entire place?
Oh no, not the
or just
throne
addition,
room
like
itself.
another item that
I was going to
supplements.
As I say, now John's got his figure he wanted, his main figure in life. He's now trying to get a bar for him.
Exactly.
I would say it's not out of the realm of possibility for this set to ever be re-released again, but I think it would be quite a while before it's repackaged in a Return of the Jedi theme. Well, you know, as far as the whole freaking room, right?
I do agree they need to get Jabba out again, but
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the mini card Salacious Crumb. That was the only thing I wanted from Return of the Jedi 40 was the mini cards reissued. So I could just
Yeah.
fill the
No
hole
one
in my
wants him.
collection. But
I find it extremely unlikely that they don't bring out a Jabber or something, because you don't spend all the money on that set to have it as a Book of Boba Fett set.
yeah,
It's
it's
don't.
got to be fun.
They
Yeah, I was
had
gonna say,
it
I
set
would be-
up as the Jabber one at Celebration. You know,
I would be really interested
Emily
to know
brought all her
who is going to
figures in
display
and-
it.
That's
Who's going to
right.
display it with that bib in it? Like, who's going to have this massive thing on their shelf
Yeah.
with a bib?
'Cause there's
sitting
no
on it
one
and
else
no
to
other
go in
figures
it.
around
Yeah.
it. Yeah, no one's going to do that.
Yeah.
Surely.
Who's going to take that bib out of the packaging if there's only 8,000 of them in the world?
I bought 2.
Not
so
me.
Dude, hard to say, yeah.
I bought 2 and I will open them both.
That's a low production number, man. I'm just saying
man.
that's going to be an expensive
I'll do
figure
it-
on the
I'll do it
aftermarket.
live. I'll do it
Just
live next time
watch.
we're on.
Hey, real quick, just to circle back, Utah Don posted his YouTube link here. So folks that were asking about that, there you go. Oh, man. Let's see. What do we got? We're getting close to 2 hours, so I think let's wind this down unless there's anything else that you guys want to say. John, I see you in the outline that you just jumped right to Clone Wars 20.
There's just been, I kind of brought it up already. I know you wanted to talk about. We've got some anniversaries this year, anniversaries over the next several years.
Yeah, we've
We
got.
don't need to have.
We don't need to
plenty
talk
of
about
wish lists coming, but yeah.
Yeah. The Clone Wars so far, where they were like, yeah, it's the 20th anniversary of the Clone Wars era. So here are 3 ARC Trooper repaints sprinkled out as retailer exclusives February, July, and October. The end.
And it's not. They did a few like Black Series figures like Ahsoka and the Magna Guard, and they're doing the clone helmet, things like that. But it's like, do we expect any more? I don't know. I would like to see a little more, but who knows?
Seems
Not-
like there's some
not
troop
expecting anything at
builders,
this point.
troop builder packs they should be doing, right? For the
Yeah, for sure.
all of the different sanctions there.
Yeah.
Mandalorians and
Yeah,
seems pretty easy.
Yeah. And then Miko, you brought up Power of the Force 30th anniversary. I almost said 25th, and then I realized the time is a problem.
40th anniversary.
40th.
Oh, yes.
So I
See, I
was
was
referring-
thinking
Oh, that
my
one, that
childhood
one, that
because
one.
I'm a young little man.
I was referring to 1984-85 Power of the Force
Yeah.
line. That packaging.
Yeah, I
I
forgot
hope-
some cards.
I hope we see more than 1 or 2 if they do it. I hope to see a nice subline of, I don't know, a case assortment or 2, or an alternate assortment of figures with those card backs would be pretty cool in a coin.
Yeah,
I just hope they don't do it in Black Series and not TVC.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's been hurtful.
They're supposed to with the Rancor. With some of those figures are supposed to be on Power of the Force cards with coins, and it's like,
Yeah.
Right.
Will they just give you General Lando again because he was on a Power of the Force card?
yeah, 100%.
Don't put that
Stormtrooper
evil
Luke.
out there, man.
Oh,
Don't do
God.
that. Don't do that. That's upsetting.
Oh,
Oh,
Luke
man.
Stormtrooper. I'd take that figure again on a
I would.
Luke
I'd take
Stormtrooper
that
card. Power of the
that's
Force
a
card.
great example. That's
Oh.
a great example.
You know,
Get Q
That's
Mighty up
something
there.
I've-
Get Q Mighty's comment up there.
something I've
Please,
never
God,
tried.
yes. God,
Oh,
please,
my
yes. That's all we
Lord.
need. That's all I need. Please, God, please. I swear to God. Okay, so we know that young Anakin is coming to
swear to
Black
God.
Series next year. If they do a Black Series kitster, but they don't do a 3.75-inch kitster, I will scream forever. I will never shut up about it. So don't do it. But we need a kitster anyway.
Oh man.
John, Miko, have you tried putting the X-Wing Luke head on the VC, what is it, 231 Stormtrooper body to make like a newer Stormtrooper Luke? See if that head works.
We could try it right now.
I kind of want to
Well,
try
those,
it.
those Lukes were made at the exact same time, so I don't know why one would be better than the other. Remember, they were introducing that 3-pack.
Yep.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying the Stormtrooper Luke on the older body is obsolete now.
Well, I think John's saying his the Stormtrooper Luke is more, the head sculpt's more accurate, right? Are you saying use that one or the X one?
Oh yeah, I mean you could use that one too. I kind of prefer the X
I
one
thought you were.
personally, but either way, I'm just wondering if it would work on the the Rogue One
Yeah.
Stormtrooper head peg.
Right, right.
Oh yeah, because the
I think it's too
Stormtrooper one
thick.
has the old head.
Right.
So let's take a look.
I'm just curious.
I think
Didn't know if
the
anybody had tried it.
Stormtrooper has a large. Maybe not. You're right. Anyway,
It would be too tall.
Yeah, I knew someone was going to
No,
say
no,
he's supposed
no,
to be
but-
short.
But the
and the
TVC
wrong
one,
belt.
the TVC one, he's a little bit shorter.
Yeah, sure.
It fits.
Looks all right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a little
It's got the
loose,
wrong-
but
Wibbly.
Belts.
it works.
Man, that looks great.
He's got
That'll
the
be
wrong
out.
belt.
It is a little
That'll
loose,
be out
though.
for.
He looks a
Charlotte.
little bit
What do you-
short for a stormtrooper.
So is this guy.
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap this up. We're coming up on 2 hours. I think we hit most of the stuff that we wanted to chat about. Thank you, everybody who has been participating in the chat, dropped us questions, all that fun stuff. Let's go around the room here. And if you all would just let folks know where they can find you, and if you have anything to promote or any last things you want to do or want to say. Tim, we'll start with you.
Yeah, before I say that, I just wanted to say one more thing about Anniversaries. Would it have killed
Yeah.
Hasbro to give us some Ewoks this year to go with all the other Endor stuff that we've got?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
There's
just-
still loads. There's still, what, three, I think, from the original 96. You've got Chief Chirper, Romba, Warwick.
Celebration
So-
layout too.
You know, so
Yep.
would it have killed them to, like, just somehow give us some Ewoks to go with all that other stuff? Anyway,
Yeah.
that's my last point on Anniversaries. But yeah, Tim Boss Bounty, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Boss Bounty is
And
thing
Threads.
every time. So there you go. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been really cool. It's been great to hook up with you guys again and chat.
Oh, thank you, man. Miko, how about you?
Yeah, you can find me on IG at The Far Side of Endor, Star Wars The Vintage Collection Facebook group. I'm excited to head to San Diego. Gonna find Victoria. We're gonna have a good time. She's gonna show me the ropes. But we're gonna post some things asking people for what things they would want to ask Hasbro or suggest to Hasbro, and try to compile some themes to bring to them there. And we'll hopefully try to live stream during the panel and do an interview with them as well. So looking forward to all that stuff. Thanks again for having me, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Victoria, I hear you're working on some writing.
Yeah, I'm doing all kinds of things. I've been trying to focus more on my music, trying to focus more on my writing. Yes, I'm working on a series of books, and that's kind of where all my creative energy is going right now. It's just like getting the first in the series finished, so I can hopefully publish it, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, thank all of you for having me on today. It's been a blast as always. Been enjoying talking TVC. It's been a while. But yeah, no, definitely follow on Instagram at Mile High Ground and at Box Bounty on YouTube, and Star Wars Vintage Collection Facebook group. Follow SWTVC or Star Wars Collector 375 on Instagram, and the Vintage Concepts Instagram, and Space Hut on Instagram. And yeah, take care, everybody. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for everybody that's been in the chat, hanging out with us. And yeah, it's been cool.
Heck yeah. And then to my teammates, I know what you guys are up to. We talk frequently, but anything to say, Tyler?
Yes, absolutely. I need all of you in the audience to go forth and spread the good gospel to save, and that you don't get charged on day one, right? Do your part. Go out there and educate people and back this thing on day one.
Hashtag get the ghost if it's the ghost.
Hashtag get the ghost if it's the
Yeah.
ghost.
You should write like tips, like talk to your grandma, see if she needs any work done in the house, earn a little extra allowance. Talk to your Uncle Joe about what you can help him with.
If you
Come on.
don't have the money for it, you ain't hustling hard enough. All right.
That's right.
There's always money to be made out there.
TVC
Get some of that
finds a
grit.
way.
Mustache John.
Yeah, as Victoria said, I'm at the Vintage Concepts on Instagram, cooking up some Clone Wars and Rebels themed posts for at SWTVC. Clone Wars stuff is coming out this week. If I do it, we'll see what happens. Yeah, so excited to dig into that. Excited for San Diego Comic-Con, and thanks everybody for watching, and thank you guys for
Yes.
talking today. It was a fun time.
And Lewis, last but not least, by the
I
slice.
was just I was just going to say, so it's quite fun that Tyler keeps telling people to save. It's the same group of people who spend every single penny they've got on these little plastic men. You know, the worst people in the world to save money. We just spend it on everything. But anyway, good luck with that. But no, yeah, I'm with you guys. You know, always knocking around on Instagram really more than anything. I try and get over to Facebook when I can. So occasionally I'm over there. But yeah, I'm always around.
Right.
I can't do threads, man. I can't do threads. There's just too many right now.
I'm on it.
The Wild West.
I've kind of already given up on it. It's hard going. And Tim, you said on there as well, you know, on your feed, it's just a load of nonsense. And at the moment, you're not getting any sort of real Star Wars feed or anything you're really on there for. It just seems to be everything. No. So, yeah, I don't know. It's hard going.
Yeah, I had to learn it for work since, not to tip the hand, but social media stuff is part of my job. And so fun. Love it.
I have enough social media to manage. I already get told I'm on my phone too much, so no thanks. No thanks.
Well, I am at Mile High Ground, as was mentioned earlier. You can find me. I do random stuff on Instagram and Threads. I'm also doing more episodes or cooking up more episodes of the SWTVC podcast. Yes, that's still a thing. Yes, we'll see when that's happening. Stay tuned. Appreciate all of you who listen. Thank you, everybody, all of you for being here with me. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you to everybody who participated. Thank you to everybody who helps to keep 375 alive. This is a community. We're in this together. Collecting's fun, isn't it? That does it for this live stream.
Thanks for the likes down below. We really appreciate it, too.
Yes. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at SWTVC. Make sure you're following all of these wonderful folks that are here on the screen with me. You don't have to follow me, but everybody else, please do. They're great. They're great people. So that does it for this live stream. As always, keep 375 alive, finish the 96, back TVC, get the ghost if it's the ghost, time for Tonica, all that fun stuff. And may the force be with you.